Данная цитата Карла Юнги отражает глубокое понимание психологии и индивидуального развития. По мнению Юнги, период до 40 лет– это время, когда личность формируется под влиянием внешних факторов, таких как общественные ожидания, семья, образование и карьера. Однако после 40 лет человек начинает изучать свой внутренний мир, отправляясь в настоящее путешествие самопознания. В этом видео мы рассматриваем слова Карла Юнга. Жизнь по-настоящему начинается в 40 лет. Когда человек достигает 40-летнего возраста, в его внешнем мире начинается глубокое пробуждение. На заре жизни люди в определенной степени действовали в соответствии с ожиданиями общества и были ориентированы на внешние цели, такие как образование, карьера, семья и социальный статус. Однако после 40 лет наступает период внутренних вопросов. Личность, сформированная в прошлом с проявленными амбициями и усилиями, уже не приносит такого поведения, как раньше. Человек может осознать, какие роли и достижения определяют его в молодости, не отражают его истинное «я». В этот момент вступает в действие концепция индивидуализации Юнга. Люди чувствуют необходимость отстраниться от масок, навязанных обществом, и достичь своей сути самостоятельно. Это пробуждение обычно проявляется как некое соблюдение закона вещи, которые раньше имели смысл, больше не вызывают восторга. Если человек не удовлетворяется своими достижениями и имуществом, он начинает задаваться вопросом о причинах этого. Возможно, он достиг пика карьеры своей, но этот пик не принес ему того счастья, на которое он рассчитывал. Возможно, он подумал, что в отношениях, которые он поддерживает годами, чего-то не хватает. Это признание иногда проявляется в форме крика. Человек может почувствовать, что его жизнь течет в неправильном направлении и захотеть кардинальных перемен. В этот период часто принимаются такие решения, как смена работы, вступление в брак или развод, переезд в другой город или приобретение новых увлечений. Но эти изменения должны касаться не только внешнего мира. Настоящая трансформация происходит внутри. По мнению Юнги, в этом возрасте на поверхности скрыты и подавлены в глубинах души аспекты. Подсознание дает о себе знать все больше. Когда человек начинает придумывать ценности, которые он усвоил и принял на протяжении всей своей жизни, он становится более склонным понимать, кто он и чего он хочет. Этот процесс, с одной стороны, освобождающий, с другой – болезненный, потому что когда старая идентичность раствора становится непонятно, что придет ей на смену. Если человек долгие годы придерживался определенных шаблонов поведения, разрыв этих шаблонов может быть пугающим. Но за этот страхом кроется огромный потенциал – возможность постичь свое истинное «я». По мнению Юнги, ключ к счастью и миру на рассвете второй жизни – прекратить гонку за выездом и сосредоточиться на внешнем удовлетворении. Поэтому период пробуждения – это этап, на котором человек начинает понимать свою душу и сохранять контакт со своим внутренним голосом. В этот период человек ищет разные способы придать новый смысл своей жизни. Может быть возрастной интерес к духовным вопросам, философии, искусству или личностному развитию. Жизнь больше не сводится только к работе и материальной выгоде. Обоснование, духовная целостность и глубокие отношения становятся более важными. В ходе этого процесса многие люди возвращаются к разногласиям, которые они пренебрегли в детстве и молодости. Кто-то начинает писать, кто-то рисовать, кто-то проводит больше времени на природе. Желания, которые долгое время ждали своего часа в сознании человека, в эти годы находят возможность умереть. Процесс пробуждения – это переходная фаза, в которой человек начинает формировать новую идентичность, освобождаясь от теней прошлого. Он обнаруживает пропасть между тем человеком, которым он был раньше, и тем, кем он хочет быть, и ищет способы сократить эту пропасть. Жизнь теперь превращается в путешествие, основанное на внешнем удовлетворении, а не на ожидаемых достижениях. 40-летие следует рассматривать не только как кризис среднего возраста, но и как период возможностей, когда человек может раскрыть свой максимальный потенциал. Вот почему, как сказал Юнг, настоящая жизнь в 40 лет. Потому что в этом возрасте человек впервые начинает проявлять смелость быть самим собой. Вторая переоценка – 45-50 лет. К 45 годам человек начинает осознавать вторую половину своей жизни. Процесс пробуждения, пережитый в начале 40-х годов, выявил некоторые конфликты во внешнем мире человека, заставив его заявить о своей жизни и выработать иную точку зрения. Однако одного этого осознания недостаточно для изменений. Необходим сознательный процесс переоценки. Этот период является нижним порогом, когда прошлое принимает во внимание. Человек смело поднимает зеркало перед собой и определяет новое направление для будущего. И в эти годы период, когда человек глубоко задается вопросами, кто он и какую жизнь он хочет жить. Рассматривают его прошлые идеалы, мечты и цели. Человек задает вопросы, на самом деле значимые для него вещи, которые он создал с такой стремительностью, практически в молодости. Развиваются более глубокие мысли о карьере, семье, отношениях и социальной среде. Некоторые люди в этот период склонны к правильности предыдущих решений и решений. В то время как некоторые обнаруживают, что действуют правильным путем, другие понимают, что они действуют неправильным путем и обнаруживают необходимость перемен. Возможно, он работал на одной и той же работе много лет, но теперь понимает, что эта работа больше не приносит ему счастья. Возможно, он или она осознали, что в его или ее супружеской жизни чего-то не хватает, или долговременные сдерживающие эмоции вышли на поверхность. Теперь человек склонен делать более осознанный выбор, а не просто принимать такие вещи, которые у них есть. Этот процесс позволяет человеку спросить себя, чего я на самом деле хочу. В этот период он задает себе вопрос «почему?» и начинаю давать честные ответы на этот вопрос. Человек, который ранее пытался приспособиться к ожиданиям внешнего мира, теперь начинает прислушиваться к своему внешнему голосу. В психологии Юнги это один из основных этапов процесса индивидуализации. Человек начинает искать свою внутреннюю целостность, выход за рамки своих социальных ролей и идентичности, которые он представляет внешнему миру. Столкновение с тенями внутри себя, встреча с желаниями, страхами и забытыми аспектами, которые подавлялись на протяжении всей жизни, является неизбежной частью этого периода. Люди больше не гонятся только за деньгами и статусом, но хотят придать больше смысла своей жизни. В этот период часто наблюдаются эмоциональные колебания. В то время как человек сталкивается со своими прошлыми ошибками, он также пытается повлиять на свое будущее. Эти внутренние вопросы иногда вызывают чувство сожаления. Мысли вроде «жаль, что я не выбрал другую основу», «мне нравится больше путешествовать», «я всю жизнь работал и никогда не находил времени для себя», могут заниматься умом. Еще одна проблема, с которой люди часто сталкиваются в процессе переоценки, это осознание реальности старения. Хотя тело и разум становятся более устойчивыми в юные годы, физические изменения в этом возрасте становятся более успешными. Однако это не регресс, а процесс достижения уровня мудрости. Теперь вместо физических сил первый план отражает жизненный опыт и духовную глубину. Человек осознает, что вещи, которые раньше казались ему необходимыми, на самом деле не так уж и ценны, и начинают выделяться от ненужного. Он или она развивает меньшие, но более значимые отношения, учитывает свою зависимость от материальных вещей и находит способы большего удовольствия от жизни. В этот период некоторые люди решают кардинально изменить свою основу или образ жизни. Возрастной диапазон 45-50 лет – это переломный момент для изменения своей жизни. Эти годы предоставляют человеку возможность заново открыть себя и свою жизнь. Пересматриваются прежние убеждения и привычки, избавляются от ненужного бремени, и жизнь начинает проживать более осознанно. Человек начинает прислушиваться не только к тому, что предлагает ему внешний мир, но и к потребностям своего внутреннего мира. Вот почему, как сказал Юнг, жизнь начинается в 40 лет. Потому что с этого возраста человек не только существует, но и начинает по-настоящему жить. Третье установление равновесия. 50-55 лет. В возрасте 50 лет человек достигает очередного поворотного момента в своей жизни. После пробуждения и последующего процесса переоценки, пережитого в начале 40-х годов, человек достигает стадии поддержания равновесия. То, что в прошлом вызывало сознание, изменялось или трансформировалось, постепенно начинало вставать на свои места. Эти годы – период, когда основные конфликты ослабевают, и человек начинает лучше осознавать, кто он и какую жизнь он хочет прожить. Однако это уважение не возникает само собой, оно должно быть построено осознанно. Понимание основных элементов равновесия– важнейший шаг на пути к его достижению. В этот период жизни человек меняет приоритеты. В то время как успех в юности и даже в 40-х годах на первом плане, статус, ожидания общества и материальные блага. По достижении 50-летнего возраста более необходимы для формирования внутреннего мира, смысла и простоты. Теперь человек сосредотачивается на том, что он думал, а не на том, что он имеет. Если в более молодом возрасте достижения рассматриваются как цели, то теперь возникает вопрос, можно ли носить эти достижения духовное внимание? Если раньше человек следил только за ожиданиями общества, то сейчас самое время создать баланс в соответствии с собственными ценностями. Потому что этот возраст – переход к фазе, когда человек не просто существует в жизни, но и по-настоящему. В этот период человек пытается установить баланс между материальными и духовными соображениями. Он или она провела большую часть своей жизни, возможно, работая, воспитывая детей и выполняя многие обязанности. Но теперь, достигнув столь многого, он сталкивается с вопросом, действительно ли он счастлив. Если в юности он был сосредоточен только на материальных благах, то теперь он осознает ценность большего роста и возможностей для самореализации. Для большинства людей в эти годы, период избавления от всего прочего, наступает стремление к упрощению как относительному, так и умственному. Хотят, чтобы люди держались подальше от вещей, которые их утомляют и вызывают стресс, и делают более осознанный выбор. Ненужные расходы, поверхностные отношения и бессмысленные заботы учат нас более простой, более осмысленной жизни. Процесс настройки равновесия также включает в себя гармонию между душой и телом. В молодом возрасте вопросам здоровья часто не уделяется должного внимания. Однако, когда вам исполняется 50 лет, сигналы, которые дают вашему телу, становятся более очевидными. Если в молодом возрасте люди больше размахивали кругом общения, то сейчас на первый план выходят качественные отношения. Люди лучше знают, кто действительно ценен, какие отношения их питают и с кем они хотят проводить время. Возраст вызывает желание формировать глубокие и значимые отношения вместо поверхностных связей. Если вы состоите в браке или длительных отношениях, эти годы могут стать временем переосмысления отношений, потому что пара теперь вырастила своих детей и получила возможность больше сосредоточиться на своей индивидуальности. Хотя такая ситуация требует обновления и углубления одних отношений, в других она может привести к развитию в разных направлениях. Хотя в молодом возрасте человека, возможно, было важно быть окруженным и оцененным обществом, человек сейчас меньше волнуется, что думают другие. Он более свободен, более самостоятелен, делает свой выбор более осознанно и действует в соответствии со своими ценностями, а не ожиданиями других. Подводя итог, можно сказать, что процесс происходит в возрасте 50 и 55 лет. Это период, в течение которого человек комплексно оценивает свой прошлый опыт и создает более стабильную жизнь в духовном, социальном и эмоциональном плане. Успех и материальное богатство сами по себе больше ничего не значат. Мировые обоснования, здоровые отношения и простые, но содержательная жизнь становятся все более важными. Человек в достаточной степени разрешил свои основные конфликты, стал лучше понимать, кто он и чего хочет, и начал более осознанно управлять своей жизнью. Вот почему, как сказал Юнг, жизнь на самом деле начинается в 40 лет. Потому что в этом возрасте человек не просто живет, но и начинает по-настоящему жить своей жизнью. Четвертое углубление мудрости. 55-60 лет. В возрасте 55 лет человек вступает в один из самых благополучных и значимых этапов своего жизненного пути. Пробуждение, пережитое в начале 40-х, последующая переоценка и, наконец, процессы глобального равновесия преобразили человека и позволили ему взглянуть на жизнь другими глазами. В этот период первый план включает не только жизнь, но и извлечение смысла из пережитого, превращение прошлых знаний в мудрость. Теперь люди научились извлекать уроки из своего опыта, понять, что действительно важно в жизни, и достичь более глубоких измерений своего существования. Эти годы – период, когда человек как никогда осознает быстротечность жизни. Если в юности время казалось бесконечным, то сейчас ценности и ограничения времени осознаются более отчетливо. Однако это осознание не является причиной беспокойства, а скорее вызывает желание жить более осознанно. Люди лучше понимают ценность каждого мгновения и хотят ослабить свою жизнь от ненужных тревог и бессмысленных переживаний. Осознается, что многие вещи, существовавшие в прошлом, на самом деле не так уж и важны, и эта осознанность дает человеку большую свободу. Углубление мудрости также позволяет человеку изменить свои отношения с самим собой и с жизнью. В то время как в молодом возрасте люди постоянно пытаются чего-то добиться и куда-то попасть, в возрасте раскрывается сила бытия и чувства. Вместо смены таких факторов, как успех, материальное богатство или социальный статус, теперь на первом плане стоит поиск внутреннего мира и спокойствия. Человек начинает воспринимать себя как часть жизни, глубже понимать связь между природой, Вселенной и существованием. В психологии Юнга это один из последних этапов процесса самоактуализации личности. Теперь человек откладывает свое эго в сторону и начинает признавать, что он является частью большего целого. В эти годы жизненный опыт человека начинает проливать свет на других. Теперь становится важным не только его собственное развитие, но и тот вклад, который он может внести в окружающую среду. Человек хочет передать другому то, чему он научился юности, своему опыту и своей жизненной философии. Вот почему многие люди переходят на роль учителя, наставника или проводника в возрасте от 55 до 60 лет. Пока одни воспитывают внуков, другие молодые коллеги, третья ступень развития, занимаются писательством, искусством или разрабатывают проекты. Причина того, что мудрость заключается не только в обучении, но и в том, чтобы поделиться своими наблюдениями и внести вклад в развитие человечества. Он или она учится радоваться мелочам, замечать красоту в жизни и наслаждаться моментом. Детский смех, разговор с другом, тихий день, проведенный на природе – все теперь становится более значимым и ценным. Чакика с физическими точками мы рассматриваем этот период, когда старение становится более развитым. Но мудрый человек рассматривает старение не как начало, а как часть естественного процесса. Изменение тела – это возможность для души измениться и преобразиться. Динамизм молодости занимает место спокойствию и глубокому пониманию. Человек принимает себя таким, какой он есть, берет на себя свои недостатки, изменения, происходящие со старением, и все остальное, что может дать жизнь. То, что истинная мудрость – это не просто знание, но и умение вести жизнь такая, какая она есть. Возможно, основным основанием этого периода является полное обретение внутреннего мира. Человек полностью освобождается от бремени прошлого, больше не вызывает серьезных опасений по поводу будущего и учится жить настоящим моментом. Хотя раньше были большие конфликты и сомнения, сейчас этот процесс завершился и уступил место глубокому осознанию. Люди больше не воспринимают жизнь как поле битвы, как путешествие, полную открытость и опыт. Процесс углубления мудрости в возрасте от 55 до 60 лет – это период, в котором человек начинает смотреть на жизнь с более широких точек зрения, со зрелостью воспринимает прошлый опыт и вызывает истинное спокойствие. Теперь важно не приобретать вещи, а ощущать само существование. Человек понимает, что старение – это не то, чего следует бояться, а скорее возможность достичь духовной зрелости. Как сказал Юнг, жизнь по-настоящему начинается в 40 лет, потому что с этого возраста человек не только живет, но и начинает по-настоящему постигать суть жизни. Пятая свобода и оформление. 60-65 лет. К 60-м годам человек становится свидетелем всех жизненных перипетий, переживает множество перемен и гораздо глубже понимает, кто он и чего хочет. После амбиций юности, вопросов идентичности, возникших в среднем возрасте, поиска равновесия и мудрости в 50 лет, этот период теперь является фазой истинной свободы и принятия. Теперь человек начинает ощущать покой, принимая себя таким, какой он есть, и приспосабливаясь к течению жизни, а не сопротивляясь ему. Свобода больше не является просто внешними идеями. Это становится духовной и умственной свободой. Самой отличительной чертой этого периода является осознание того, что жизнь – это не то, что нужно контролировать, а скорее поток, который нужно отпустить. Если в молодом возрасте человек занимается формировать, направлять и проектировать жизнь в соответствии со своими желаниями, то теперь он понимает, что это не всегда возможно и, по сути, не нужно. Жизнь следует продолжать жить такой, какая она есть, протекающей в своем естественном ритме, без необходимости принуждения. Осознание этого человека приносит великий покой и умиротворение. Теперь заботы о том, что думают другие, социальные ожидания или карьерные амбиции остались полностью позади. Люди думают в соответствии со своими собственными ценностями и чувствами и не чувствуют необходимости что-либо кому-либо доказывать. Свобода означает не только независимость от внешнего мира, что действительно важно, так это открытие свободы человека внутри себя. Разум, который раньше боролся с бременем прошлого, ошибками и сожалениями, теперь учится принимать их такими, какие они есть. Осознается, что все происходящее имеет смысл, и что каждый опыт делает человека тем, кем он является сегодня. Вместо того, чтобы попытаться исправить прошлое или изменить будущее, человек учится находить справедливость и покой в настоящий момент. Разум перемещаем истинную свободу, освобождаясь от сожаления о прошлом и тревоги о будущем. В этом возрасте принятие становится очень важным. Принятие – это не капитуляция или пассивность. Напротив, это означает встречать перемены, которые порождают жизнь, настолько зрелы, понимать и принимать их, а не бороться с ними. Такие изменения, как старение организма, потеря физических сил и неспособность выполнять определенные действия так же быстро, как раньше, больше не выносятся как недостаток. Постоянная спешка чего-то достичь или куда-то попасть, как в юности, занимает место легкокости, которая приходит, когда ты такой, какой ты есть. Люди начинают воспринимать изменения своего тела не так, как происходит, а как рассуждают о процессе жизни. Важно сохранять внутреннюю энергию, а не внешнюю. Такие понятия, как успех и неудача, победа и поражение, молодость и старость, больше не имеют резких формулировок, как черное и белое. Все они являются частями тяжелого целого и быстро переплетены друг с другом. В этот период человек становится признанным мудрым. В юности он многое пережил, видел трудную жизнь, совершил много ошибок, много раз падал и снова вставал. Однако все это привело к идентичности ее нынешней зрелости. Теперь пришло время передать то, чему вы научились, другим, направлять и вести путь к другим. Но это руководство предполагает проживание по собственному принципу, а не дает советов или указаний. Истинная мудрость обнаруживается скорее в позе, настроении и отношении к жизни, чем в словах. Период свободы и принятия между 60 и 65 годами – это период, в котором человек начинает встречать все аспекты жизни со зрелостью, принимает себя и мир такими, какие они есть, и в результате достигает истинной духовной свободы. Индивид больше не живет просто ради жизни. Я думаю, что жизнь становится все глубже, ценит каждый момент и существует с чувством завершенности, не ощущая никакой связи в чем-либо. Вот почему, как сказал Юнг, жизнь на самом деле начинается в 40 лет. Потому что только с этого возраста человек по-настоящему учится жить свободно и осознанно. Шестое – духовное и эмоциональное богатство. 65-70 лет. К 65 годам человек оставил позади большую часть своей жизни, но это оставление не позади конца, дверь к новому началу. После амбиций юности, достижения среднего возраста, определения равновесия в 50-е и свободы и принятия решений, которые приходятся на 60-е, жизнь достигает теперь стадии духовного и эмоционального богатства. Это процесс большего наполнения и внутреннего богатства, чем материальное или внешнее богатство. Человек начинает воспринимать себя уже не как пассажир жизни, а как существо, наблюдающее за самой жизнью. В этот период у человека происходит глубокое сострадание к жизни и к себе. Он больше не виноват в ошибках прошлого, не злится на трудности, сталкиваясь с другими, и принимает то, что преподносит жизнь, а не сопротивляется этому. Размышление о прошлом больше не является осуждением или сожалением, а просто хранилищем мудрости. Человек осознает ценность каждого момента и понимает, что каждый опыт – это камень, который сформировал его таким, какой он есть сегодня. Это осознание создает духовное богатство, потому что теперь человек сосредоточен на чувствах замкнутости и нестабильности, а не на продолжениях и сожалениях. В эмоциональном плане этот период является периодом глубокой зрелости и терпимости. В молодом возрасте люди сильнее переживают обиды, разочарование, гнев и грусть, но после 65 лет эмоции ощущаются более сбалансированно и осознанно. Люди больше не придают незначительным проблемам большого значения. Они понимают бесполезность споров и становятся более примирительными и понимающими в отношениях. Он знает, как ценно проводить время с близкими, общаться с друзьями и делиться своими воспоминаниями. Наблюдая за циклом природы, он понимал, что он также является частью более крупной системы. Восход и заход солнца, смена времени года, вода, шум ветра – все это напоминает нам о том, что жизнь пребывает в великолепной и совершенной гармонии. Это осознание позволяет человеку установить более глубокую духовную связь. Жизнь больше не ищет просто периода жизни, а состояние существования в едином потоке. Как в этом пожилом человеке все больше погружается в поиски смысла, но этот поиск уже не причинен вреда или нужды. Если в юности поиска смысл часто подпитывается неудовлетворенностью и ощущениями, чего-то не хватает, то сейчас этот поиск становится углублением и обогащением. Обращаясь к искусству, литературе, философии, суфизму, мистицизму или другим культурным учениям, люди начинают видеть жизнь в более широком контексте. В возрасте от 65 до 70 лет люди начинают проникать в мельчайшие детали повседневной жизни, которые чувствуешь, выпиваешь чашку чая, вдыхая аромат цветка, общаясь с другом, слушая смех внука. Все это уже не поверхностное сопротивление, часть сути теплой жизни. Люди понимают, что эти детали, которые они не заметили и не придали им значения в прошлом, на самом деле были настоящим богатством в жизни. В духовном плане он больше не применяет меры в чем-либо. Ему не нужно добираться из одного места в другое, и ничего не нужно доказывать. Жизнь самодостаточна. Поэтому в этот период человек достигает состояния мудрости и принятия, простирающегося в бесконечность. Он знает, что жизнь временна, но эта временность не приносит ему печали. Напротив, это повышает ценность каждого момента. Теперь важно не то, что время уходит, ощущение полноты каждого мгновения. Человек сосредотачивается не на том, что он оставляет после себя, а на том, как он себя чувствует в данный момент и на красоте каждого мгновения, которое он проживает. Период духовного и эмоционального развития в возрасте 65-70 лет – это период, когда человек развивает глубокую любовь, сострадание и понимание богатой жизни и самого себя, а также достигает духовного совершенства и внутреннего покоя. Человек живет уже не для того, чтобы изменить себя и жизнь, а для того, чтобы принять и полюбить ее такой, какая она есть. И вот почему, как сказал Юнг, жизнь на самом деле начинается в 40 лет. Потому что только с этого возраста человек начинает по-настоящему чувствовать саму жизнь. Седьмое наследие и интеграция. 70 лет и позже. Возраст 70 лет и старше – это период, когда человек достигает глубокого понимания жизни и интегрируется со своим прошлым и существованием. В этом возрасте больше не нужно поддерживать победу, добиваться достижений или доказывать свою идентичность. Материальные аспекты жизни и мирские амбиции полностью отошли ко второму плану, уступив место более осмысленному, более глубокому проникновению в путешествие. Этот период – этап, на котором человек формирует наследие своей жизни и воспринимает себя как часть большего целого. Учет прошлого больше не является потерей мнения. Человек перестал считать свои ошибки и принял решения, основанные на принципах, и понял, что они являются препятствиями, которые сделали его тем, кем он является сегодня. Все заботы, сожаления, счастье и боль стали учителями. Человек глубже понимает смысл, который дает ему каждый этап, преодолевает борьбу, каждый опыт, через который он проходит с самого начала своей жизни. Осознание этого порождает огромное чувство завершенности и неожиданности. Больше ничего не пропало. Все произошло именно так, как и должно было быть. В этот период человек наиболее отчетливо осознает быстротечность жизни, но это осознание не приносит ему страха или печали. Напротив, осознание того, что все временно, делает каждый момент еще более драгоценным. Человек больше не сопротивляется течению времени и не пытается его контролировать, потому что время — это не просто элемент измерения. Этот процесс, умеющий управлять мудростью. Желание изменить прошлое и помощь будущему полностью исчезают. Остается только чистая и ясная правда настоящего момента. В этом возрасте большое значение имеет внимательное отношение к наследию. Молчаливая улыбка, понимание взгляда, указание взгляда на мир через выработанное вами отношение к жизни – это настоящее руководство. Эмоционально человек теперь находится в полном мире и спокойствии. Обиды, тяготы прошлого и внутренние конфликты остались позади. Человек не только не прощает, он больше не хочет ничего менять из того, что произошло в прошлом, потому что теперь он понимает, что все имеет смысл и причину. Это понимание приносит ему огромное облегчение и свободу. Нет необходимости ни за что держаться. Прошлое – это всего лишь история. Будущее – это уже не ожидание, а поток. В этот период люди смирились с одиночеством. Одиночество больше не является недостатком богатства технологий. Если большую часть жизни люди испытывают потребность постоянно находиться рядом с другими, то теперь человек учится быть довольным своим собственным существованием и находить пока в своем внешнем мире, когда тишина больше не страшна. Напротив, он стал взглядом, где находятся самые глубокие внутренние путешествия. По мере приближения к заключительным этапам жизни мы все чаще начинаем задумываться о концепции смерти. Однако эта мысль больше не является чем-то пугающим или расстраивающим, а стала восприниматься как часть жизни. Человек осознает, что смерть – это не конец, а трансформация. Так же, как все в природе существует в цикле, жизнь – это не начало и не конец, а процесс меняется в бесконечном потоке. Это понимание освобождает человека от страха смерти и дарует ему великую внутреннюю покой. Возраст 70 лет и старше – это период наследования и успеха. Этот человек принял свою жизнь такой, какая она есть, и примирился со своим уходом, своими близкими и самим собой. Он больше не хочет ничего менять или контролировать, фокусируется исключительно на восприятии самой жизни в целом. Истинная свобода и истинное счастье заключаются в том, чтобы не заниматься изучением чего-либо, а осознавать, что все уже именно так, как должно быть. Вот почему, как сказал Карл Юнг, жизнь на самом деле начинается в 40 лет, потому что только с этого возраста человек начинает интегрироваться в саму жизнь и понимать истинный смысл своего существования. В этом видео мы обсудили слова Карла Юнга. Жизнь по-настоящему начинается в 40 лет. Не забудьте подписаться на наш канал, чтобы получать больше контента. Спасибо.
Ladies and gentlemen, what if I told you that the greatest tool for achieving success isn't your education, your resources, or your connections, but the mindset you choose to build every single day? The truth is, your mindset shapes every decision you make, every challenge you face, and every goal you pursue. It determines whether you rise or retreat, whether you see obstacles as roadblocks or stepping stones. In this video, you'll discover how to develop a mindset that drives success, not just in moments of motivation, but in the quiet daily choices that create lasting results. If you're ready to unlock the mental strength that sets high achievers apart, this is where your transformation begins. Ladies and gentlemen, take a moment to genuinely reflect on the life you are living today. Think carefully about your past successes and the challenges you have faced along the way. Every result you've experienced, or whether a triumph or a setback, is closely linked to the strength of your mindset. Your mindset acts as a powerful, unseen force that directs the course of your entire life. Imagine it as a seed planted in fertile soil, where its growth depends on the right conditions, just as any seed relies on sunlight, nourishment, and care. For your mindset to flourish, it must be supported by positivity, resilience, and consistent nurturing. Without these essential elements, your mindset, like a neglected seed, will struggle to develop, keeping your true potential hidden. The good news is that unlike many external factors you cannot influence, your mindset is entirely within your control. It is made up of your beliefs, attitudes, and regular thoughts. Tools you use each day, whether you are aware of it or not, to shape your path in life. Your mindset is what distinguishes those who find lasting success and fulfillment from those who face ongoing struggles and feel trapped by disappointment. By intentionally building a growth-focused mindset, you lay the groundwork for remarkable achievements and deep personal satisfaction. A positive mindset not only changes how you see challenges, but also reshapes how you deal with them. Rather than viewing difficulties as barriers, you begin to see them as chances to learn and grow. Every challenge becomes an opportunity to build resilience and improve your ability to adapt and move forward. Think of the individuals who have reached great heights despite facing significant hardship. History offers countless examples of leaders, innovators, and visionaries who used a strong and determined mindset to rise above even the toughest circumstances. Their journeys remind us of the incredible strength that comes from purposefully shaping our mindset. However, developing and maintaining a positive and empowering mindset calls for consistent effort and commitment. Daily habits such as practicing mindfulness, expressing gratitude, self-reflection, and using affirmations are key to cultivating a healthy mental outlook. Make it a priority to regularly assess and improve your thought patterns. When negative or doubtful thoughts arise, choose to replace them with affirmations that promote strength, positivity, and potential. In the end, your mindset influences not just your emotional well-being, but also your ability to succeed both personally and professionally. Every belief, attitude, and thought you hold plays a vital role in determining the quality and direction of your life. Take control of this powerful force by dedicating yourself to ongoing mental and emotional growth. Ladies and gentlemen, keep this vital truth close. By consciously nurturing a positive, resilient, and growth-focused mindset, you give yourself the power to achieve greatness. Embrace this mindset fully, care for it consistently, and witness how your life evolves into a remarkable reflection of your limitless potential. The story of one of history's great industrial leaders is not merely one of financial success, it is a story of vision, discipline, and mastery of the mind. When he arrived in America, he had none of the material wealth that would later define his legacy. But what he did have was far more powerful, an inner conviction that his life could be shaped by his imagination and effort. His success was no accident. He built it through daily belief and determined action. From the start, he was intentional about shaping his mental habits. He trained himself to see opportunity where others saw only limits. When faced with poverty, he focused not on what he lacked, but on what could be gained. When doors closed, he returned with stronger determination. This ability to reinterpret circumstances did not happen by chance. It was the result of a carefully developed mindset where purpose triumphed over self-pity and imagination overcame stagnation. This principle remains just as essential for you today. If you want to rise above the ordinary, you must train your mind to see life not as it is, but as it can be. The greatest tragedy in our time is not a shortage of talent, but a shortage of vision. Many people settle for far less than they're capable of because they have not dared to dream beyond their current reality. That great industrial leader saw the steel industry long before he led it. He envisioned communities enriched by education before libraries bore his name. These were not empty hopes, were clear mental blueprints that guided his decisions, shaped his actions, and kept his spirit strong during hard times. Your journey requires the same kind of focus. You must first master your thoughts to become the designer of your future. Build a vision so vivid, so emotionally powerful, that it is impossible to ignore. Let that vision pull you forward even when life challenges you. Paint your dreams boldly in your mind. See them, feel them, live within them. To achieve this, engage in daily mental training. Begin each day by reconnecting with your vision. Close your eyes and picture the life you're creating. See yourself living with purpose. Speak your goals aloud with confidence. Surround yourself with people, places, and ideas that support the world you want to build, not the one you're trying to leave behind. And when setbacks come, as they surely will, choose to reframe them. Do not see difficulty as defeat. Instead, view it as part of the process that strengthens your character and sharpens your focus. This is how great leaders overcame challenges, and it is how you will overcome yours. The power to create extraordinary outcomes is within you. It is not reserved for a select few. It is activated by those who choose to believe with unshakable faith. Let your thoughts be driven by purpose, your actions guided by vision, and your life shaped by intent. By mastering your mind, you can master your world. The same path awaits you. Walk this path with courage. Resilience is one of the most powerful qualities at the core of a strong and successful mindset. It is not just the ability to endure hardship, it is the inner force that helps you recover, rebuild, and rise stronger each time. Resilience is shaped in the fire of challenge and refined through every storm you face with determination and purpose. SETZOT, inherent resistance and resistance to the worst resistance of the worst. Think of the remarkable journey of the man credited with inventing the electric light bulb. While history remembers his breakthrough, few recall the countless trials that led to it. He carried out over 1,000 experiments before finding the right solution. Where others might have seen repeated failure, he recognized steady progress. He is known for saying that he had not failed, but simply found 1,000 ways that did not work. These words reflect a mindset that sees value in every result, no matter how discouraging it may seem at first. His resilience was not passive, it was a deliberate practice. He chose to learn from challenges instead of being defeated by them. That same choice is available to you. When setbacks arise, and they will, decide to view them as stepping stones rather than barriers. Every challenge contains a hidden lesson, a seed of insight that when nurtured can lead to meaningful growth. You must train yourself to search for these lessons. When hardship appears, ask yourself, what can I learn from this? That one question can turn confusion into clarity. It can change frustration into purpose. It helps you move from feeling powerless to feeling capable. Most importantly, it teaches your mind to see problems as hidden opportunities. Resilience does not mean ignoring pain or pretending that all is well. It means facing discomfort with bravery and turning pain into strength. It means enduring the darkness while holding faith in the coming light. As you face personal, professional, or emotional challenges, resist the urge to give in to defeat. Instead, pause, reflect, and look for meaning. This process does more than heal, it shapes character. Through resilience, you gain what many lack: true confidence. Not confidence that depends on short-term success or the approval of others, but confidence rooted in the understanding that no matter what happens, you have the strength to rise again. This kind of confidence fuels an unstoppable determination. You become the person who does not wait for perfect conditions to move forward. You create your own momentum, powered by belief and strengthened by persistence. The road to success is rarely smooth. It is filled with setbacks, delays, and unexpected turns. But those who walk this path with resilience discover that every challenge hides a gift. They know that character is not revealed by how we act when life is easy, but by how we respond when it is not. Resilience is the voice of inner strength. It is the quiet force that declares, I will not quit. Just as the light bulb illuminated the world, your resilience will illuminate the path to your own success. Embrace it, strengthen it, and honor it each day. Through resilience, you do not simply endure, you overcome and prevail. The pursuit of greatness does not begin with a vague desire. It begins with clarity. You cannot aim for a target you haven't clearly defined. Many aspire to success, wealth, influence, or impact, yet fall short of their dreams simply because they never took the time to define their destination with precision. Dreams can inspire, but inspiration alone is not enough. Dreams must be shaped with structure, detail, and steady action to become real achievements. The individual who transformed transportation and industry understood this deeply. His famous words, whether you think you can or think you can't, you're right, express a powerful truth about human potential. Belief matters, yes, but belief must be combined with direction. His success did not come from optimism alone. It was built upon clear, specific goals and an unwavering commitment to see them through. The most successful people do not move through life hoping things will improve. They plan carefully, prepare fully, and pursue their vision with intent. You must follow the same approach. Begin by asking yourself, what does success truly mean to me? Define it clearly. Is it a certain career role, a financial goal, or a personal transformation? Whatever it is, it must be written down, measurable, and tied to a timeline. A goal without a timeline is simply a wish, and wishes rarely take flight. Once your goals are defined, treat them as a contract with your future self. Let them shape your calendar and guide your daily choices. Clear goals bring clear action. Each day becomes a purposeful step forward rather than a distracted shuffle through tasks. On the other hand, vague goals lead to procrastination. When your goals lack definition, you risk falling into inaction. The mind, when unsure, tends to delay, waiting for the perfect moment, the perfect plan, or the perfect motivation, which often never appears. Specific goals remove this barrier. They give your mind a clear instruction. They direct your hands on what to build, your feet on where to go, and your heart on what to believe. Think of constructing a bridge. Engineers work from detailed blueprints, not loose ideas. Every measurement, calculation, and material is carefully planned. Why should your life's work deserve any less precision? If financial independence is your goal, define exactly what that means, whether it's an income target, a savings figure, or a business plan. If your dream is to become a published author, set deadlines for outlines, drafts, and submissions. Approach every goal with this level of care. This intentionality not only boosts your chances of success, it reshapes your identity. You move from being someone who talks about dreams to someone who builds them. By setting clear, actionable goals, you train your mind to think like a creator, a doer, and a finisher. Your thoughts, actions, and environment begin to align with your vision. In the end, clarity is more than just a strategy. It is a standard that calls for commitment, seriousness, and courage. Hold yourself to it and watch as the fog lifts from your journey. The clearer your goals, the straighter your path. And the straighter your path, the quicker your arrival. True success is rarely achieved in isolation. While personal talent and determination are essential, they often reach their full power only when combined with collaboration. History's greatest accomplishments have been born of collective effort, where ideas were shared, skills united, and visions aligned. Discipline is an essence of success and a request of assessment. You may hold great potential, but when joined with the right partnerships, that potential is not only activated, it is multiplied. Consider the founding of the United States. The leaders of that era, despite different backgrounds, beliefs, and temperaments, chose unity over division. They debated, drafted, and ultimately came together to create a new nation. Their lasting impact lies not just in what they built, but in how they built it through respectful dialogue, strategic unity, and shared purpose. Our example serves as a powerful reminder that when people combine strengths, they can achieve far more than any individual could alone. You must also seek to build meaningful, strategic relationships in your own life. Start by examining who surrounds you. Do they lift you higher? Do they challenge you to grow? Do they share your values and ambitions? Those closest to you shape how you see the world, influence your choices, and either accelerate or slow your progress. Mastermind alliances, purposeful partnerships formed for mutual growth, are vital to both personal and professional advancement. When two or more minds come together in harmony with a shared goal, they create a third, more powerful force, a collective intelligence that fuels innovation, solves challenges, and drives progress. The essential ingredient is harmony. Simply gathering people is not enough. You must connect with those whose values, goals, and integrity align with your own. To form these bonds, lead with authenticity. Be someone who gives value first, who listens carefully, contributes genuinely, and supports consistently. When you offer strength, others of strength will naturally be drawn to you. And as these connections form, protect them. Tend to your relationships with the same care you give your goals. Celebrate others' successes. Offer support when no one is watching. So when you look at what trust, once earned and kept, becomes the bridge to shared victories. These alliances will fuel you during times of challenge. When your vision blurs or your confidence fades, A strong circle of like-minded individuals will remind you of your purpose. They will offer honesty, not flattery. True encouragement, not empty comfort. Their belief in your potential will reignite your own. In collaboration, you gain more than ideas, you gain accountability. A shared mission calls for steady communication, united effort, and mutual respect. These experiences refine your character and strengthen your leadership. They compel you to rise higher, to find wise compromises, and to commit fully. Never overlook how a single conversation, partnership, or shared purpose can open the door to greatness. The path to achievement often begins where your strength meets that of another. Let this truth guide how you build relationships. Seek alliances not for ease, but for growth. Not for comfort, but for challenge. When minds join with shared purpose, barriers fall. That is not poetic exaggeration, it is proven history. Build your alliances with intention, because in unity your vision finds its power. And remember, self-discipline is not just a trait, it is the very structure that makes achievement not only possible, but inevitable. Without discipline, potential stays just that, potential. But with discipline, even the most ambitious goals begin to shift in your favor. Discipline is the bridge that links ambition to achievement, thought to action, and intention to transformation. Contrary to common belief, discipline is not about restriction, it's about direction. It doesn't take away your freedom, it defines it. Without discipline, a person drifts, guided by impulse and passing emotions. But a disciplined person takes control of their time, focus, and ultimately, their future. This isn't about rigid living, it's about strategic mastery. The heart of self-discipline lies in making consistent, deliberate choices that reflect a higher purpose. Each decision becomes a statement about who you are becoming. Rising early, caring for your health, expanding your knowledge, managing your resources wisely, these are not random habits. They are clear signals of your intent. They show your mind and the world that you are serious about your journey. When Napoleon Bonaparte said, "Victory belongs to the most persevering," it wasn't an empty phrase. He recognized that real strength lies not in talent alone, but in showing up day after day with focus and determination. Success doesn't require flawlessness, it requires persistence. And persistence isn't possible without discipline. Think of discipline as your compass in unfamiliar territory. Life's twists, turns, and distractions can easily throw you off course, but when discipline guides your choices, you always know your direction. You might stumble or progress may slow, but you won't lose your way. Your inner standards, strengthened through discipline, will bring you back on track. To build this inner compass, start by setting non-negotiables, habits and principles that stay firm no matter how you feel or what's happening around you. For some, it may be beginning the day with quiet reflection. For others, it could be regular physical exercise or writing daily. Whatever your non-negotiables are, weave them into your daily life until they become second nature. In time, these small practices gather power. One disciplined habit repeated daily becomes a pillar. 10 such habits become a fortress. Over time, you don't just practice discipline, you embody it. It becomes part of who you are. There is something deeply empowering about discipline. It builds pride, fosters self-respect, and reminds you that your promises to yourself matter. Every time you honor your commitments, especially when it's difficult, you prove to yourself that you can be trusted. Over time, you don't just beat the problem on your own. The problem will often be proved in both your business and your life. It takes time to set up your habits. It takes time to cultivate the things that you're doing well. It makes sense to you. You prove to yourself that you can be trusted. Every time you honor your commitments, especially when it's difficult, you prove to yourself that you can be trusted. It makes sense that inner trust forms the foundation of lasting confidence. Yes, discipline takes effort, especially at first, but that effort brings great rewards. With each disciplined choice, you rise above distractions and resist the pull of comfort. You choose to build while others hesitate. You choose growth while others stay still. In time, discipline stops feeling like a struggle it becomes a well of strength. It sharpens your abilities, speeds up your progress, and protects your vision from fading. When motivation fades, when excitement dies down, even when outside support weakens, discipline stays. Make it your mission to cultivate this inner strength. Picture your mind as a garden. What you plant will grow. Choose to plant hope, courage, and belief, and nourish them daily through your actions. Pull out the weeds of worry before they take root. In doing so, you don't just lift your mood, you redirect your entire path. Lifelong success demands lifelong learning. The most remarkable minds throughout history have shared one common trait: an unending hunger for knowledge. They recognize that wisdom is not a final destination, but a discipline, a continuous pursuit that sharpens thought, strengthens action, and ensures relevance in a world that never stops changing. One notable figure who embodied this principle was Benjamin Franklin. Despite having limited formal schooling, he became one of the most respected intellectuals of his time. Why? Because he never stopped learning. And so he understood that, judging by his work, I could have asked him, sir, whether he was experimenting with electricity, engaging in diplomacy, or crafting political philosophy. He dedicated himself to constant personal growth. His daily habits included reading, writing, reflecting, and seeking dialogue with other curious minds. Through these efforts, he turned knowledge into influence. This mindset is just as essential today. We live in an age where information evolves rapidly and industries shift without warning. If you're not growing, you're not standing still. You're falling behind. Complacency isn't neutral, it pulls you backward. The only way to stay sharp is to keep sharpening. To develop this mindset, think of your mind as a muscle. Challenge it, stretch it, and nourish it. Read books that push you beyond what you already know. Engage in discussions with people who have greater experience or deeper insight. Attend workshops and seminars not for certificates, but for the transformation they offer. Personal development requires initiative. No one will force you to keep learning once formal education ends. That's where the real test begins, when the responsibility for growth is entirely yours. Take this responsibility seriously. Set aside time every week to refine your skills, explore new subjects, or deepen your expertise. In any field, the most valuable people aren't those who know the most, they're those who keep learning more. Mentorship is key on this journey. A mentor helps you skip years of trial and error by sharing hard-earned lessons. They challenge your assumptions, offer clarity, and help you unlock your own insights. Don't wait for a mentor to appear. Seek one out, and once you do, respect their guidance by applying what you learn. Learning isn't limited to facts and figures. It includes emotional intelligence, communication, leadership, and the ability to think critically. Success rarely comes from technical skill alone. It often depends on how well you understand others, manage stress, and adjust your approach in different situations. That's why continuous learning must be well-rounded. Each day, ask yourself, what did I learn today? This simple question keeps your curiosity alive. It turns daily experiences into valuable lessons. It helps mistakes become insights. It builds a life that becomes richer and more meaningful with time. Remember, knowledge doesn't stand still. What you knew 5 years ago only matters if you've continued to grow. If you're not upgrading your thinking, you're trying to solve new challenges with outdated tools. By committing to continuous learning, you place yourself among those who lead rather than follow. You secure your success for the future. You become resilient, resourceful, and refined. In a world where change is constant, your ability to learn quickly becomes your greatest competitive advantage. Choose growth and never stop. Adaptability is not a luxury, it is a necessity. We live in a time when technology transforms overnight, industries shift in months, and global events reshape economies in mere days. Your success depends less on how much you know and more on how swiftly you can adjust. The ability to adapt is what separates those who thrive from those who merely survive. Charles Darwin's famous observation about survival didn't place strength or intelligence above all. It emphasized the ability to respond to change. This insight goes beyond biology. It speaks directly to your career, your personal growth, and your capacity to lead. To stay effective in any field, you must let go of rigid thinking and embrace progress as it unfolds. Too often, people fear change because It disturbs what is familiar. They resist, hoping the old ways will somehow return. But success is not found onto what used to work. It lies in having the courage to face the unknown and build new approaches for new realities. Change is not your adversary. It is your opportunity to grow. To cultivate adaptability, start by shifting your mindset. Instead of asking, why is this happening to me? Begin asking, what can I learn from this? That simple shift turns panic into possibility. It channels your energy from resistance into creative problem solving. Every challenge then becomes a training ground, a place where your flexibility is strengthened and your resourcefulness sharpened. Being adaptable doesn't mean abandoning your principles. It means finding new ways to fulfill them. Your vision can stay clear even as your path changes. The most effective leaders, entrepreneurs, and innovators keep their eyes on the goal, but are willing to redraw the map. They adjust their approach without sacrificing their values. One way to build adaptability is to seek out variety. Expose yourself to fresh ideas, diverse cultures, and unfamiliar experiences. Read beyond your usual subjects. Engage with people who challenge how you think. Every new experience increases your mental flexibility and prepares you to pivot with confidence. Adaptability also flourishes in environments that encourage experimentation. Give yourself permission to try, to fail, and to adjust without harsh self-judgment. Perfection isn't the goal, progress is the goal. The more willing you are to adjust and refine, the more agile your mind becomes. Flexibility is like a muscle. It grows stronger the more you use it. Emotional agility is just as crucial. As circumstances change, you must learn to face discomfort without letting it stop you. Feelings like anxiety, frustration, and confusion are natural responses to change, but they are not final verdicts. Practice grounding techniques. Pause and reflect before you react. Give yourself permission to feel uncertain while still moving forward. In times of disruption, it is those who adapt who provide stability. They are not overwhelmed by change. They use it. Their calm presence builds trust, and their mindset drives innovation. When others hesitate, the adaptable press on. In the end, adaptability isn't just about surviving change. It's about positioning yourself to lead. Change is a constant in every season of life, but growth is a choice. Choose growth. Choose to adapt. Let every turn in your path strengthen your determination, spark your creativity, and deepen your resilience. Because in the ever-changing story of success, it is the adaptable who shape the future. A life of true success isn't built solely on achievements, honors, or wealth. It is built on purpose. Purpose gives meaning to your efforts, aligns your ambition with your values, and ensures that your journey leads not only upward, but inward. Without purpose, even reaching the highest peaks can feel empty. With purpose, every step, even the small ones, feels worthwhile. Purpose begins with reflection. Ask yourself, what do I stand for? What matters most to me? What kind of legacy do I want to leave? These aren't vague questions. They are the foundation of your life's direction. They shape your vision, guide your choices, and give purpose to each day. When your goals align with your core beliefs, you tap into a deep well of energy that outlasts motivation and outperforms willpower. Consider the examples of those who changed the world, not through force, but through purpose. Leaders like Florence Nightingale, who transformed healthcare out of a deep sense of duty, not for applause. Innovators like George Washington Carver, whose discoveries lifted generations of farmers and communities. Their success wasn't luck. It was the natural result of their inner mission. The same holds true for you. Every action you take should reflect your values. When your choices come from integrity, your achievements carry deeper meaning. They extend beyond personal success and contribute to something greater. People driven by purpose don't chase fulfillment, they create it. To live with purpose, you must regularly realign. Life offers many distractions, short-term wins that seem easy, but cost authenticity. Stay vigilant, check in with yourself. Are your efforts true to your values? Are your victories meaningful or just impressive on the surface? Adjust when needed. Real success never asks you to abandon who you are. It calls you to become even more of who you are meant to be. Contribution is at the heart of purposeful living. The impact that lasts comes not from what you gain, but from how you uplift others. When your work supports, your presence inspires, and your words encourage, you are creating a legacy worth remembering. Success that lifts others is the kind that endures. Right now, this moment is your invitation to rise. The world isn't waiting for someone perfect. It's waiting for someone dedicated. Choose to build your mindset, strengthen your resilience, practice discipline daily, hold on to optimism, adapt with grace, and lead with purpose. These aren't separate qualities. They are woven together into one thread, the thread of greatness. Greatness doesn't arrive in an instant. It is shaped quietly through daily decisions to live with purpose. Each daybreak gives you a fresh start. The only limits that hold you back are the ones you choose to accept. Break them. Let today be the day when intention becomes action. Begin with courage. Move forward with consistency. Let every setback shape you, not define you. And always remember, your journey is about more than success. It's about significance. You are the author of your story. Write it with boldness, write it with heart, and write it in a way that leaves a lasting impact, not just on your life, but on the lives of others. Now's the time to take control of the one force that shapes every part of your life, your mindset. The difference between those who wish for success and those who achieve it lies in how they think, believe, and act each day. The power to transform your future is already within you. It starts the moment you decide to strengthen your mindset and align it with your goals. In this video, you'll discover practical strategies to build a mindset that fuels success and helps you rise above challenges.
Listen, if I could tell you one thing right now that has the power to completely transform your life, it's this. The way you think determines everything. Your thoughts shape your destiny. Every result you've had, every breakthrough or setback, every win or loss, it started with a thought. And most people don't even realize they're living inside a prison they built with their own thinking. But today I'm going to teach you how to break out. I'm going to teach you how to think correctly and how to think big. Because the moment you learn to master your thinking, you unlock the ability to master your life. Your thoughts shape your destiny. That single truth can either be the most empowering realization of your life or the most sobering, because if you step back and really look, every decision you've made, every action you've taken, every result you've created has been fueled by a thought. A thought is not just some fleeting whisper in your head. It's the seed that determines the harvest of your life. If you're not happy with the fruit, you've got to examine the seed you've been planting. Most people never do. They go through life on autopilot, running the same thought patterns over and over again, like a song stuck on repeat, without realizing those patterns are programming their destiny. If you constantly think, I can't do this, I'm not enough, I'll never make it, then guess what? You'll live in alignment with those beliefs. You'll sabotage your own progress before you even get started, because your brain doesn't know the difference between what's real and what's repeatedly imagined. But the moment you shift your thoughts, the moment you condition yourself to see opportunity where others see obstacles, you literally alter the course of your future. When you think correctly, you're not ignoring reality, you're shaping it, because the reality is this: there are always problems, there are always challenges, there will always be setbacks. But when your thoughts are aligned with a vision of growth, strength, and possibility, those challenges become fuel. Instead of saying, why me? You start saying, try me. Instead of shrinking in the face of resistance, you rise, because your thoughts have already programmed you to expect growth on the other side of pain. It's not about toxic positivity or pretending everything is perfect. It's about recognizing that the energy you give to your thoughts becomes the blueprint for the life you live. If you train your mind to focus on solutions, your body will follow. If you obsess over limitations, your life will shrink into the size of those limitations. Your destiny is not written by chance, it is written by the thoughts you choose to empower every single day. Think about history's greatest leaders, innovators, and creators weren't born with some magical destiny inscribed on their birth certificates. They wrote their destiny with the power of thought. They trained themselves to see the world differently, to imagine what others couldn't see, to believe in possibilities others thought were impossible. That's why they created breakthroughs. That's why they left a legacy, and you have that same power. The difference is not ability, it's thinking. If you want a bigger destiny, you need bigger thoughts. If you want a stronger destiny, you need stronger thoughts. If you want a destiny that makes your soul come alive, you need to reprogram your thoughts to align with that future now, before it even shows up in your life. That's how it works. You think it, you feel it, you act on it, and then it becomes reality. Now, small thinking creates small results. And this is where so many people get trapped without realizing it. They say they want an extraordinary life, but their thoughts are ordinary. They talk about wanting financial freedom, but they keep thinking in terms of just enough to get by. They say they want love, but their thoughts are stuck on why they're unworthy or why relationships always fail. They dream of impacting the world, but they think in terms of, I'll just settle for being comfortable. And here's the truth. You cannot create a life of abundance with scarcity-based thinking. You cannot step into greatness while holding on to the mindset of survival. Small thinking is like putting a ceiling on your potential. It locks you inside a box of limitations that you often didn't even build yourself. Maybe those small thoughts came from your parents, your teachers, society, or past failures. But if you keep repeating them, they become your reality, and your results will always match the size of your thinking. Here's the painful part most people don't want to admit. Small thinking feels safe. It feels comfortable. It feels rational. That's why people cling to it. Thinking small means you never have to risk too much. You never have to fail too hard. You never have to expose yourself to rejection. But what it also means is you never grow, you never discover what you're truly capable of, and you never get to taste the fullness of life. You trade greatness for safety, and safety might protect you from pain, but it also robs you of joy. Small thinking shrinks your vision, your goals, your possibilities, until your entire life becomes a fraction of what it could have been. It forces you to grow into the person who can handle greater challenges, greater responsibilities, and greater rewards. It stretches your imagination. It demands that you show up differently, with courage instead of fear, with creativity instead of excuses. When you think big, you're not asking, how do I get through the day? You're asking, how do I make today extraordinary? You're not asking, how do I pay the bills? You're asking, how do I create wealth that impacts generations? You're not asking, how do I avoid failure? You're asking, how do I build something so meaningful that it's worth failing for? Thinking big unlocks the part of you that was built for greatness, the part of you that knows deep down you're not here to live an average life. And let's be clear, thinking big doesn't mean living in fantasy. It doesn't mean you sit around imagining castles in the sky with no action. Thinking big is about aligning your vision with action. It's about setting goals that scare you and excite you at the same time. It's about believing that even if you don't know the how right now, the fact that you've dared to expand your vision will pull resources, people, and opportunities into your life that you could have never accessed with small thinking. The universe responds to the size of your vision. People are attracted to boldness. Opportunities show up when your thinking is expansive. But here's the catch. You cannot think big if you don't first learn to think correctly. Because thinking big without correct thinking is just delusion. Correct thinking is the foundation. It keeps your big vision grounded in truth, in strategy, in resilience. Together, correct thinking and big thinking become unstoppable. Correct thinking sets the direction. Big thinking expands the horizon. And when you put them together, you're no longer playing small. You're no longer settling. You're no longer trapped. You're building a destiny that matches the greatness you were designed for. Correct thinking means focusing on solutions, not problems. Most people don't even realize how much time they spend obsessing over what's wrong. They wake up in the morning and immediately think about the bills, the stress, the job they don't like, the people who frustrate them, the reasons they're not where they want to be. And what happens when you focus on problems all the time? You magnify them, you feed them energy, you make them look 10 times bigger than they really are. It's like putting them under a microscope. Suddenly they dominate your vision, and because that's all you see, you start to believe that's all there is. Your brain is like a heat-seeking missile. Whatever you lock it onto, it will amplify. If you lock it onto problems, that's what it finds everywhere you look. If you lock it onto solutions, your brain will get creative. It will resource itself, and it will begin to uncover opportunities that were invisible before. Correct thinking isn't about pretending the problems don't exist. That's denial, and denial won't change your life. Correct thinking is about acknowledging the problem and then asking the right question. What can I do about this? What's the next step? How do I move forward? When you train your mind to go there instantly, you develop an unstoppable momentum. Most people waste their lives circling the drain of what's wrong. They get addicted to complaining, addicted to talking about the same issues over and over again without ever seeking solutions. And that's why their life never changes, because nothing changes until you do. When you think correctly, you take your power back. You stop being a victim of your circumstances, and you start being the creator of your future. Think about it, every major breakthrough in history, every invention, every discovery, every movement that changed the world started with someone looking at a problem and refusing to dwell on it. Instead, they asked, what's the solution? How can this be different? How do we fix it? If they had spent all their energy talking about how big the problem was, we'd still be stuck in the dark ages. But because someone trained their brain to focus on solutions, humanity moved forward. Your personal life works the exact same way. The moment you condition yourself to see problems as signals for solutions, your life becomes a playground for growth. The language you use reveals whether you're focused on problems or solutions. People stuck in problems use words like always, never, can't, impossible. They exaggerate the permanence of the problem until it feels hopeless. People focused on solutions use words like next, how, opportunity, possible. They shift the story in their minds, and that new story unlocks new actions. So if you want to master correct thinking, start with the language you use. Start catching yourself when you're reinforcing the problem, and redirect your energy into reinforcing the possibility of a solution. And let's get practical. When something goes wrong, you've got two choices. You can sit there, drown in frustration, and repeat the problem in your head, or you can stop, take a breath, and say, what's the next best move I can make right now? That single question can rewire your thinking. It interrupts the spiral and redirects your brain's focus. Because your brain is like a muscle. The more you train it to search for solutions, the stronger it gets at doing just that. Over time, it becomes automatic. Suddenly, you're not the person who panics when something goes wrong. You're the person who steps up and finds a way through. That's correct thinking in action. Big thinking expands your vision of what's possible. And this is where the magic happens. Because once you've trained yourself to focus on solutions instead of problems, you've cleared the space for bigger thoughts to take root. You can't think big when you're drowning in small, problem-saturated thought. But once you free yourself from that, you open the door to an entirely new level of possibility. Big thinking is what takes a life from average to extraordinary. It's what takes an idea from ordinary to revolutionary. It's what separates people who merely exist from people who create legacy. When you expand your vision of what's possible, you literally change the trajectory of your future. Think about it. The size of your vision determines the size of your results. If your vision is small, your results will be small. If your vision is expansive, your results will reflect that expansion. Big thinking is the difference between a business owner who says, I just want to pay my bills and keep the lights on, and another who says, I want to create a company that transforms lives, impacts millions, and outlives me. Which one do you think creates more energy, attracts more people, and pulls more resources into their life? It's the one who thinks big, every time. But big thinking requires courage, because it means breaking away from the limitations that society, family, or even your past self tried to place on you. It means daring to see possibilities others dismiss as unrealistic. It means being willing to look at a blank canvas and paint something no one else has ever imagined. And it means understanding that even if you fall short of that big vision, you'll still land further than you ever would have with small thinking. Big thinking is also contagious. When you expand your vision, you don't just lift your own life, you inspire others to lift theirs. People are hungry for possibility. They're drawn to individuals who dare to dream beyond the ordinary. That's why leaders who think big change cultures, industries, and generations. And you can do the same in your own world. You don't need a global stage. You just need the courage to think bigger in your career, your relationships, your health, your impact. Because when you do, the ripple effects touch everyone around you. Here's the secret. Big thinking doesn't start with resources. It doesn't start with connections, money, or luck. It starts with perspective. It starts with asking a different question. Instead of asking, what's realistic for me right now, you start asking, what would be extraordinary if I made it happen? What would I go after if I knew I couldn't fail? Those questions stretch your imagination. They ignite creativity. They force you to look beyond your current circumstances. And that's when you start seeing opportunities you never noticed before. Your vision has to be bigger than your fear, bigger than your excuses, bigger than the voices that tell you to stay small. Fear and doubt are patterns, not truth. That's one of the most liberating realizations you can ever have. Most people live their entire lives as if their fear is reality, as if their doubt is a fact carved in stone, when in truth, it's nothing more than a mental habit they've rehearsed for years. Think about it. When you were a child, you weren't born with fear of failure or rejection. You weren't born doubting yourself. You learned it. You learned it from experiences, from what people told you, from moments where you tried and didn't succeed, from criticisms that cut deep. Slowly, those experiences got wired into your nervous system, and your brain said, okay, let's protect you. Let's create fear. Let's create doubt so you don't get hurt again. But what was meant as protection becomes a prison. The truth is, fear is your brain's way of predicting pain that hasn't even happened yet. It's a projection. Doubt is the same. It's your mind rehearsing all the reasons something won't work before you've even given yourself a chance to find out. And if you live inside those patterns long enough, you start mistaking them for who you are. You start saying things like, I'm just not confident, or I'm just not that kind of person, when in reality you're not broken, you're not incapable, you're just conditioned to feel fear when you step outside the familiar, conditioned to doubt when you're about to grow. Here's the shift. If fear and doubt are patterns, that means they can be rewired. They're not permanent. They're not facts. They're habits. And habits can be changed. You can train yourself to interrupt the fear pattern the moment it shows up, to recognize doubt for what it is, a false alarm, and to move anyway. Because courage is not the absence of fear. Courage is recognizing the fear and deciding to act regardless. Every person who has ever achieved greatness felt fear and doubt. The only difference is they didn't let those patterns run the show. They didn't mistake the feeling for reality. They treated it as noise, not a command. When you understand that, you stop being intimidated by fear. You stop thinking, I need to eliminate fear before I can act. You realize fear is just part of the process of growth. It's a signal you're expanding. Doubt is a signal you're stepping into territory where your old identity no longer fits. And that's not a bad thing, it's a sign you're evolving. Imagine if every time you felt fear or doubt, you reframed it as proof that you're moving towards something meaningful. That's how you transform fear from a roadblock into fuel. But if you don't make that shift, those patterns become self-fulfilling prophecies. Fear makes you hesitate. Hesitation makes you miss opportunities. Missed opportunities reinforce your doubt, and the cycle continues. The key is breaking the cycle at the thought level. You catch yourself thinking, I can't do this, and you replace it with, I'm learning how to do this. You catch yourself thinking, I'll probably fail, and you replace it with, failure is feedback, and I'll grow stronger. Over time, the new patterns become just as automatic as the old ones, and when that happens, your entire life shifts, because you've reclaimed control over your thoughts instead of being ruled by them. Success begins with the decision to change your mindset. Everything in your life, your relationships, your finances, your health, your achievements, flows out of one place, your mindset. And yet most people never consciously choose theirs. They inherit it. They absorb it from parents, teachers, culture, circumstances, without ever stopping to ask, does this mindset serve me? Does it align with the life I want to create? That's why so many people feel stuck. They're running on mental software that was installed years ago, often without their permission, and they never updated it. But here's the power you have. At any moment, you can make a decision to shift your mindset, and that single decision can alter the entire course of your life. People often wait for circumstances to change before they change their thinking. They say, once I make more money, then I'll feel abundant. Once I'm in a relationship, then I'll feel loved. Once I succeed, then I'll feel confident. But that's backward. You don't wait for external change to shift your mindset. You shift your mindset and then create the external change. Because the truth is, your outer world is a reflection of your inner world. You'll never create lasting success from a mindset of scarcity. You'll never create love from a mindset of unworthiness. You'll never create breakthroughs from a mindset of resignation. You have to decide first who you're going to be in your thinking, and then your life will rise to meet that decision. That's why it all begins with decision. Not someday, not when it's convenient, not when everything lines up. The decision is made in the moment when you say, enough, I'm not thinking the old way anymore. I'm choosing a mindset that empowers me, a mindset that pulls me forward, a mindset that aligns with the vision I have for my life. That decision is like planting a new seed. The moment you plant it, the future changes. The fruit might take time to grow, but the direction of your life is already altered. But if you don't make that shift, those patterns become self-fulfilling prophecies. Fear makes you hesitate. Hesitation makes you miss opportunities. Missed opportunities reinforce your doubt, and the cycle continues. The key is breaking the cycle at the thought level. You catch yourself thinking, I can't do this, and you replace it with, I'm learning how to do this. You catch yourself thinking, I'll probably fail, and you replace it with, failure is feedback, and I'll grow stronger. Over time, the new patterns become just as automatic as the old ones, and when that happens, your entire life shifts, because you've reclaimed control over your thoughts instead of being ruled by them. Success begins with the decision to change your mindset. Everything in your life, your relationships, your finances, your health, your achievements flows out of one place, your mindset, and yet most people never consciously choose theirs. They inherit it. They absorb it from parents, teachers, culture, circumstances, without ever stopping to ask, does this mindset serve me? Does it align with the life I want to create? That's why so many people feel stuck. They're running on mental software that was installed years ago, often without their permission, and they never updated it. But here's the power you have. At any moment, you can make a decision to shift your mindset, and that single decision can alter the entire course of your life. People often wait for circumstances to change before they change their thinking. They say, once I make more money, then I'll feel abundant. Once I'm in a relationship, then I'll feel loved. Once I succeed, then I'll feel confident. But that's backward. You don't wait for external change to shift your mindset. You shift your mindset and then create the external change. Because the truth is, your outer world is a reflection of your inner world. You'll never create lasting success from a mindset of scarcity. You'll never create love from a mindset of unworthiness. You'll never create breakthroughs from a mindset of resignation. You have to decide first who you're going to be in your thinking, and then your life will rise to meet that decision. That's why it all begins with decision. Not someday, not when it's convenient, not when everything lines up. The decision is made in the moment when you say, enough, I'm not thinking the old way anymore. I'm choosing a mindset that empowers me, a mindset that pulls me forward, a mindset that aligns with the vision I have for my life. That decision is like planting a new seed. The moment you plant it, the future changes. The fruit might take time to grow, but the direction of your life is already altered. And let's be clear, this isn't about wishful thinking, it's about ownership. It's about taking responsibility for the one thing you always control: your mind. Circumstances can change. People can betray you. Economies can collapse. But your mindset is yours. And if you make the decision to master it, no external storm can take away your ability to choose your response, to choose your perspective, to choose your next move. That's the ultimate power. The biggest breakthroughs in life come when you realize you don't have to keep thinking the way you've been thinking, that your past mindset doesn't have to define your future mindset, that the stories you've been telling yourself about what you can't do, about what's not possible, are just that, stories. And you can rewrite them. You can choose to install a new narrative, one that says, I am capable, I am resourceful, I am willing to grow, and I am creating a future that reflects my potential, not my past. That kind of decision unleashes energy you didn't even know you had, because here's the truth. The difference between the person who transforms their life and the one who stays stuck isn't talent, isn't luck, isn't circumstance, it's mindset. One person decides to think differently, the other doesn't. One person decides to believe in possibility, the other clings to limitation. One person decides to train their thoughts toward empowerment, the other lets fear and doubt remain the default. Success, fulfillment, growth, all of it begins with that inner decision. Success begins with the decision to change your mindset. Too often, people think success is a matter of chance, of being in the right place at the right time, of having advantages that others don't. But that's a lie that keeps people trapped. The truth is that success begins long before you see any tangible result. It begins in the moment you draw a line in the sand and say, I will no longer think the way I've always thought. I will no longer live by the limitations that have been running my life. I will choose a mindset that serves me instead of destroys me. That's where success is born, inside your head, inside your heart, in the decision that your old ways of thinking will not determine your future. People often misunderstand this. They wait for results to feel successful. They wait for the money, the recognition, the relationship, the health transformation before they claim success. But those results are the effect, not the cause. The cause is the decision to change the way you think. The cause is the moment you decide that no matter what your circumstances are, you're going to train your mind to find possibility, to see opportunity, to believe in yourself, to focus on growth. That decision alone shifts your energy, shifts your focus, shifts the way you show up every single day, and over time those shifts create results that compound into success. But this isn't easy because the mind resists change. Your brain is wired to stay consistent with your past patterns. That's why it takes a decision, a firm, unshakable choice. A decision is different from a wish. A wish says, I hope things get better. A decision says, I'm making things better, starting now. A wish is passive. A decision is active. A wish waits for circumstances to align. A decision creates new circumstances. And once you decide, truly decide, your mind begins to align everything with that new standard. Your thoughts, your emotions, your actions, they all start working in harmony with the vision you've chosen. This is why successful people look different. They've trained themselves to operate from a mindset of abundance, of possibility, of growth. They've conditioned themselves to believe that no matter what happens, there is always a way forward. And that mindset, that inner foundation, is what creates the outer success you see. Too many people focus on the external strategies. What business to start, what job to take, what investment to make, while ignoring the internal foundation. But if your mindset is poisoned with doubt, fear, and limitation, no strategy in the world will save you. Conversely, when your mindset is strong, resourceful, and growth-oriented, you can face any setback, any challenge, and still find a way to win. It all comes back to decision. Decide what kind of mindset you're going to live with. Decide that your thinking will no longer be small. Decide that your thoughts will no longer drag you into despair. Decide that your focus will be on solutions, on growth, on possibility. Decide that you are in charge of your own mind, and that decision becomes the root of every success you will ever experience. The questions you ask determine the answers you find. This is the next layer of correct thinking, and it's one of the most powerful tools you can ever master. Your brain is like a search engine. Whatever question you put in, it will work relentlessly to find an answer. If you ask disempowering questions, your brain will deliver disempowering answers. If you ask empowering questions, your brain will deliver empowering answers. Most people don't realize how much of their suffering comes from the questions they unconsciously ask themselves every day. They ask, why am I such a failure? Why does nothing ever work out for me? Why am I always broke? Why can't I ever get a break? And their brain, loyal as it is, goes to work providing answers because you're not good enough, because you're unlucky, because you're not smart, because you don't deserve it. Those answers feel true because they came from your own mind, but they're not truth. They're the result of bad questions. The shift happens when you take control of your questions. When instead of asking, why am I such a failure, you ask, what can I learn from this that will make me stronger? Instead of asking, why does nothing ever work out for me? You ask, what's one thing I can do right now to move forward? Instead of asking, why can't I ever get a break? You ask, how can I create my own opportunities? The moment you shift a question, you shift the focus of your mind. And when you shift the focus of your mind, you shift your results. Great achievers know this. They train themselves to ask questions that expand possibilities. They ask, how can I serve more people? How can I add more value? How can I turn this obstacle into an opportunity? How can I make this work? These questions force the brain to get creative, to dig deep, to unlock resourcefulness. And it always finds something because your brain is wired to give you answers. The quality of your life is a direct reflection of the quality of questions you consistently ask yourself. This is why two people can face the exact same challenge and come out with completely different outcomes. One person asks, why me, and spirals into despair. The other asks, what can I do with this? What's the gift in this? How can I use this? And discovers growth, resilience, and new opportunities. The difference isn't the challenge, the difference is the question. Thinking big requires refusing to settle for mediocrity. Mediocrity is comfortable, it's safe, it's the default setting for most people's lives. It's the space where you don't have to risk too much, you don't have to stretch too far, you don't have to face too many critics or failures. But mediocrity is also the space where dreams go to die. It's where your potential gets buried under routine, where your spirit gets numbed by good enough, where the extraordinary life you were meant to live gets traded for something ordinary. And the dangerous part is that mediocrity doesn't feel painful at first. It feels fine. It feels acceptable. It feels like the life everyone else is living, so it must be okay. But deep down you know it's not what you were made for. Deep down you feel the gap between who you are and who you could be. And that gap creates frustration, restlessness, even despair. That's the cost of settling. Refusing mediocrity means you don't accept fine as your standard. You don't accept average as your destiny. You don't say, well, at least I'm surviving. No, you say, I was born to thrive. I was born to grow. I was born to create a life that excites me, challenges me, and fulfills me. Refusing mediocrity requires courage, because it means leaving behind the safety of the herd. Most people will never understand why you won't just be satisfied with what you have. They'll tell you to be realistic, to be practical, to be grateful for where you are. Gratitude is important, but gratitude is not the same as settling. Gratitude says, I appreciate this, and I'm still going for more. Settling says, this is enough, even though I know I was meant for more, and there's a massive difference. Thinking big is the antidote to mediocrity. When you think big, you raise your standard. You stop comparing yourself to the average person and start comparing yourself to your potential. You stop asking, what's good enough? And you start asking, what's possible if I give everything I've got? Thinking big forces you to stretch, to grow, to risk, to fail, to rise again. It demands that you step into the fullness of who you are. Mediocrity asks nothing of you. Thinking big asks everything of you. That's why so few choose it, and that's why those who do stand out. Look at the lives of people who inspire you. They didn't get there by settling. They didn't wake up and say, I'll just do what's easy today. They refused to stop at ordinary. They set their vision higher, bigger, bolder. They asked for more from themselves. And because of that, life gave them more in return. When you refuse mediocrity, you start living in alignment with the greatness inside you. You start honoring your potential instead of betraying it. You stop making excuses for why you can't, and you start demanding reasons why you must. That's the difference between a life of regret and a life of fulfillment. Refusing mediocrity doesn't mean life becomes easy. It often means more challenges, more failures, more obstacles. But those struggles are what shape you into the person who can handle greatness. Settling might protect you from discomfort, but it also robs you of transformation. If you want to think big, you have to be willing to step into the fire, to endure the setbacks, to embrace the process, because that's the price of refusing to live an average life. And the reward? A life that excites you when you wake up in the morning. A life that inspires others. A life that makes you proud when you look back at it. Train your mind daily to create the life you want. This is the final key, because correct thinking and big thinking are not one-time decisions. They are practices. Just like your body needs daily exercise to stay strong, your mind needs daily conditioning to stay focused, empowered, and expansive. If you don't train your mind every day, it will default back to old patterns of fear, doubt, and limitation. That's just how the brain works. It reverts to what's familiar. That's why so many people attend a seminar, read a book, or watch a motivational video, and they feel fired up for a few days. But then the inspiration fades, and they slip right back into their old way of thinking. Not because they're weak, but because they didn't make it a daily discipline. Training your mind means you take ownership of what you feed it. You don't just let social media, news, and negative voices control your mental diet. You choose intentionally what you consume, what you focus on, what you allow to enter your inner world. You read things that expand you. You listen to voices that challenge you. You surround yourself with people who push you higher. You create rituals that anchor you in empowerment, whether it's journaling, affirmations, visualization, meditation, or physical movement. You take time every single day to remind yourself of who you are, what you're capable of, and where you're going. Now, small thinking creates small results. And this is where so many people get trapped without realizing it. They say they want an extraordinary life, but their thoughts are ordinary. They talk about wanting financial freedom, but they keep thinking in terms of just enough to get by. They say they want love, but their thoughts are stuck on why they're unworthy or why relationships always fail. They dream of impacting the world, but they think in terms of, I'll just settle for being comfortable. And here's the truth. You cannot create a life of abundance with scarcity-based thinking. You cannot step into greatness while holding on to the mindset of survival. Small thinking is like putting a ceiling on your potential. It locks you inside a box of limitations that you often didn't even build yourself. Maybe those small thoughts came from your parents, your teachers, society, or past failures. But if you keep repeating them, they become your reality, and your results will always match the size of your thinking. Here's the painful part most people don't want to admit. Small thinking feels safe. It feels comfortable. It feels rational. That's why people cling to it. Thinking small means you never have to risk too much. You never have to fail too hard. You never have to expose yourself to rejection. But what it also means is you never grow, you never discover what you're truly capable of, and you never get to taste the fullness of life. You trade greatness for safety, and safety might protect you from pain, but it also robs you of joy. Small thinking shrinks your vision, your goals, your possibilities, until your entire life becomes a fraction of what it could have been. But when you choose to think big, everything changes. Thinking big pulls you forward. It forces you to grow into the person who can handle greater challenges, greater responsibilities, and greater rewards. It stretches your imagination. It demands that you show up differently, with courage instead of fear, with creativity instead of excuses. When you think big, you're not asking, how do I get through the day? You're asking, how do I make today extraordinary? You're not asking, how do I pay the bills? You're asking, how do I create wealth that impacts generations? You're not asking, how do I avoid failure? You're asking, how do I build something so meaningful that it's worth failing for? Thinking big unlocks the part of you that was built for greatness, the part of you that knows deep down you're not here to live an average life. And let's be clear, thinking big doesn't mean living in fantasy. It doesn't mean you sit around imagining castles in the sky with no action. Thinking big is about aligning your vision with action. It's about setting goals that scare you and excite you at the same time. It's about believing that even if you don't know the how right now, the fact that you've dared to expand your vision will pull resources, people, and opportunities into your life that you could have never accessed with small thinking. The universe responds to the size of your vision. People are attracted to boldness. Opportunities show up when your thinking is expansive. But here's the catch. You cannot think big if you don't first learn to think correctly, because thinking big without correct thinking is just delusion. Correct thinking is the foundation. It keeps your big vision grounded in truth, in strategy, in resilience. Together, correct thinking and big thinking become unstoppable. Correct thinking sets the direction. Big thinking expands the horizon. When you put them together, you're no longer playing small, you're no longer settling, you're no longer trapped, you're building a destiny that matches the greatness you were designed for. So let's bring this home. We've walked through the truth that your thoughts shape your destiny. We've seen that small thinking will always create small results, and that correct thinking is about focusing on solutions, not problems. We've uncovered that thinking big is the only way to expand your vision and break free from mediocrity. We've talked about fear and doubt, how they're nothing more than patterns you can reprogram. We've drilled into the power of decision, into the questions you ask yourself, and how those questions guide your future. We've looked at the liberation that comes when you stop thinking incorrectly, and we've seen the extraordinary life that unfolds when you discipline your mind daily. Every single point leads back to one central truth. Your life becomes what you repeatedly think about. If you think small, you get small. If you think fear, you get fear. But if you think correctly, if you think in a way that aligns with truth, with vision, with strength, and if you think big, the world opens up in ways you can't even imagine right now. This is not theory. This is not fluff. This is the wiring of human achievement. It's the formula for breakthrough. And it's available to you the moment you decide that you're done with old thinking, that you're ready to upgrade your mind and demand more from your life. Now it's your turn. Stop just listening, start applying. Train your mind daily. Stretch your thinking beyond limits. Build the destiny you deserve. If this message hit you deep, then join me on this journey. Hit subscribe to Tony Robbins' track, because this is where we build unstoppable minds and unstoppable lives. And I want to hear from you. Drop in the comments one thought you are choosing to upgrade starting today. Let's create a ripple of big, correct thinking together. Your future is waiting. The only question is, will your thinking be big enough to claim it?